Oh, I need to grab Ron's.
You are live now, Mr. Rob Mullins, here in the studio with me right now, KUHS Denver. We are the stream. It's always a pleasure to have Mr. Mullins in the studio with me. And if you're joining us right now, we're going to talk about Dazzle tomorrow night and this special show he's got going for his father who passed away about a month ago, wasn't it? It's been about a month?
Yeah, it was mid-September.
Yeah, so, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to have some wordplay going on here. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk a little bit about the 80s, too. The 80s was a grand time for both Rob and myself. We used to really enjoy a lot of the things that used to happen in the 80s. But for now, we're going to introduce you to Mr. Rob Mullins. And
hey, everybody. Nice to be here again. Henry, good to see you. Sorry I'm on my phone here, but I just wanted to make sure I had Ron Buckner, the photographer who's being featured on our back screen today. These pictures Ron shot of my festival band, and they're from this July at the 5 Points Jazz Festival. So Ron was really nice to send me a slew of these pictures, and I said, hey man, the photography is so good. When I get down to Henry Station, I'll tell everybody that you're for hire and your email address. Start right off with a promo is b6@hotmail.com, and that's all letters, bsix@hotmail.com, and you'll see these photos rolling in the back. So, Henry, how have you been, my brother?
Man, I've been fine. It's been, man, the weather has been absolutely gorgeous here in Denver, Colorado, and we love it, and that's the thing about it all is here in Denver, we get to do all the fun things that you like to do, and you know, it's changing, and the colors have been absolutely fantastic in Denver for some reason because of the dryness and stuff. The colors have been just absolutely beautiful.
We have one color in Southern California, and it's brown. It's either burning on fire or it's already burnt. I mean, really, the wildfires in California and actually Pacific Northwest, all over that part of the country, have been insane. I mean, the biggest fires we've ever seen. And there's no water out there either.
And have you noticed that water is an issue lately?
Water is a huge issue. And, you know, I checked the weather today, and the western slope got 11 inches of snow last night.
Wow.
And so, you know, when I talk to my California friends, they say, oh, Denver doesn't have any water. It's going to be horrible. And I said, man, they got the Rocky Mountains. You know, 11 inches of snow in one night. And in Montana, they had 22 inches last night.
Wow.
In Montana. So, but yeah, anyway, I'm here in town. I'm going to be playing at Dazzle tomorrow. On Tuesday, it's one show at 7 o'clock. And regardless of it being a school night or not, I know most of my fans are too old to still be in school. If you're still in school, then you just need to bring your homework and come on down to Dazzle, 7 o'clock. Rob Mullins All-Stars. I've got a fantastic group with me, and guys that are featured on my album. Some longtime Denver favorites like Brad Good, who runs a fantastic music education thing up in Lafayette, and Joe Andrews, who's part of his own jazz organization in Denver, along with Mark Simon on the bass, and Liam Zom, who's actually been down here with us.
Yeah, and he sang in here with you. That was really nice.
We did a live thing that ended up being really cool.
It was. It came out really, really nice.
And Liam has been doing some interesting stuff, experimenting with his look and stuff, and you can see he's sporting a new look in the photos from the festival. So I haven't seen him in a couple of months. He may be, I don't know, shaved his head bald by now. Who knows? You know, George Carlin, the famous comedian, when there was that whole thing about all these young people shaving their heads as part of some movement, it was these guys that were all like 20. You know, George Carlin came out and he said, you know, I don't understand this phenomenon about all these young guys shaving their head when they're 20. If you want to be bald, just do what I did. Wait a while.
That's hilarious.
But
I haven't had that problem. Mine hair just grows and grows. And then I wake up in the morning, it looks like I'm one of those little Chia Pet dolls.
Oh.
Hair all over the place. Like,
so you go outside in your robe and scare the neighbors.
Yes, and they think, great costume.
It's Henry the Chia Pet. Say, let's kick it off with some fun music and, you know, get the show rolling with something upbeat.
We got Mrs. Robinson drinks tequila.
Beautiful. Let's check it out.
awesome tune there, brother.
That's the end of it.
Well, it must have started earlier. It's at 2:20 right now.
Oh, okay.
It's halfway through because it's playing on the outside as we
Got it.
talk. I put it on in here, so.
Beautiful.
Come on, Rob, give me a break. I know how to run. I thought I knew how to run. You kind of scared me there. It's halfway through.
I always got to check.
And this is one song that you came up with because it just fits the bill, right?
Well,
George Carlin, the famous
Right.
comedian,
Yeah.
there was that whole thing about all these.
So, what drove you? We talked about this last time. What drove you to do this song?
this particular tune?
Yeah, tequila. It's on your
well-
mind, right?
Well, you know, as a recording artist, you're also usually a couple of other things, like you're an arranger. I've always enjoyed doing these things that they call, now they're calling it a mixtape,
Right.
right? Well, we used to have mixtapes back in the 80s because we would have a cassette and we would put these songs together on a cassette and we would splice things together and do this and that. And for some reason, those two tunes from my childhood, Mrs. Robinson, which is Simon and Garfunkel, and then Tequila, which was, Herb Alpert made it famous, but it was a guy named Louis something. And if you guys know who Louis, I can't remember his last name.
You better get that.
No, he was the composer, but it was Herb Alpert. And, that was a song made famous in the Pee Wee Herman movie.
Yeah, I remember that.
Where he's got the platform shoes and stuff. So, but musically, those two songs really kind of blend and lend each other into a medley. That was what they used to call way back in the day when you have two or three songs and you put them together. So, Mrs. Robinson Drinks Tequila. It's a good way to start off the album. It's from my 40th album, which Henry was nice enough to come support me last summer when I put that out at Dazzle.
Really, really good.
And, great band on that night too.
Yeah, that was really a good night. I really enjoyed myself there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, everybody there was having a great time. And you put on a hell of a show.
Thanks, man.
You really put on a hell of a show.
Well, I have always tried to just have it be about the spirit of the music. And in today's world, there's so much dark, angry, bad stuff happening out there.
Oh, no, why?
There is. I mean,
I know. It's like,
50 people in Chicago got shot this weekend and died. 50.
yes, it's like everybody's
Right.
going crazy.
And, they have this new kind of rap music out, which I found out about on an online forum because they're, promoting this new kind of music, and it's called drill rap. And I saw a link to a sound package, download the modern sounds of drill rap. So I'm like, I've never heard of drill rap.
I haven't
It
either.
makes me think of Tim Allen on Tool Time,
I used to watch that all the time. That was crazy.
I
stuff.
love that show. It's so fun. But unfortunately, when I looked it up, drill means shoot a cop to death.
Wow. And there's been a lot of that, too. They come and ambush them.
There's a lot of that, too. So now there's a specific type of rap designed about killing law enforcement. And I was just like, man, I'm not going to download this drill rap thing. And that doesn't promote anything healthy in the community. And I listened to some of the music, and it didn't feel right to me.
And that's the thing about what feels right to you. I was watching a thing on, it was a morning show, Sunday morning, and she had a comedian named Fluffy on there.
He's usually
Julio
great.
Iglesias, yeah. Now, here's what he said. He's one of
Not
the,
Julio Iglesias, Ruben.
Ruben.
You said Julio Iglesias.
Well, no, it's not Ruben either. It's
But I know who you're talking about.
yeah.
Go ahead.
He was the only one besides the Beatles. Not quite. I think they were in the Yankee Stadium, one of the big
Okay.
stadiums, and they almost sold it out. Elton John sold it out. He sold it out.
Oh, yeah.
It was incredible. And he says, "I don't talk about politics.
Right.
I don't talk about religion.
Mhm.
I won't talk about food." Everybody, so it was good, like you say. Some music, if you don't put it out there right, it just makes people sad, makes them vicious, violent.
Well, and so much of the vibe of what's happening in the world is now represented by music that isn't a positive, uplifting thing. Like for me, I've always been a sucker for the '90s power ballad.
Yes,
or the
yes.
80s power ballad.
And let's talk about the
You
80s.
know.
You know, we go back a long ways, bro.
Yeah, well,
You know,
like a really long
I'm telling you,
hold on a second. Go ahead.
Let me get me some air here.
Hey man, bring your wheelchair to Dazzle. If you need an oxygen tank, we'll have a KUHS oxygen at the front door
That's
for
hilarious.
my older fans. But
Yeah,
anyway.
and you go back to the Denver City Jazz Band that you started doing a lot with. And I remember those days, and I remember what you used to do in Denver. And the different bands used to, they always wanted Rob Mullins in their band. Hey, you know who's playing with us? Rob Mullins.
Yeah.
That's what was so cool about this.
Then I had to leave and go get my ass kicked in Los Angeles.
You
Why did I ever do that?
Yeah, you know, you thought, well, but you fought. You kept it going. Now you get to go to Vegas, you get to go to other parts of the world, you get to go all over the place, and it changes. And that's what Iglesias was saying.
Mm-hmm.
He was poor. He was working 2 jobs and going to do these gigs, and they wouldn't hardly pay anything, but he would do them.
I always thought he would be a great Walmart greeter.
Yeah.
You know, put him in that little white outfit.
Yeah.
He'd have these little jalapeno hors d'oeuvres and stuff. So those there. Here, it's fluffy.
He's worth like $40 or $50 million now.
Well, I'm not.
Well, I'm saying that's what happened to him.
Yeah.
He pushed and pushed, and no
Well, you
matter
have
what.
to have the ethics of hard work, which is something that
Some
a
people
lot
would
of
do
people
that,
are
Rob.
not into
It's
that.
like,
I
well,
think they're
just-
called Californians. You know, because now in California, everybody's getting so used to
Doing
the
nothing.
government taking care of them.
Yeah, doing nothing.
And a lot of people just did not ever come back to work after the pandemic.
Isn't that wild?
And
they figure schemes and ways to just keep living off.
I think it was $80 billion of unemployment fraud out there.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I wish I could figure out how to
How
steal
they-
$80 billion.
and
I'm
how
not
do they
smart
do it?
enough to do that.
And they caught a few of them, but not very many. And some of them were taking like millions. What about
Yeah.
Brett Favre?
What about him?
You didn't hear what he was getting all these millions of dollars from the from this one city.
Huh.
Yeah, out of their welfare department.
Favre was?
Yes.
On welfare?
Yes.
Oh, my
there was
gosh.
jokes everywhere about it. You must have missed it.
No,
Jokes everywhere about it.
I saw the, well, speaking of football, I have Amazon Prime, and that 2 Thursdays or 3 Thursdays ago, the Broncos were on Amazon. I'm like, well, I'm getting ready to go to Denver. Let me put on the Broncos game on Amazon and watch Thursday night football. And I was just sitting there going, you have to be kidding. There's no touchdown in the whole game? There was like not a touchdown. The score going into overtime was like 9-9. And then in overtime, somebody got a field goal, and the Broncos lost. And then I saw that weekend it said, rated the 3rd worst football broadcast ever in
And it was.
in
It was
history.
horrible. Everybody was,
Yeah, I mean, you got to get out there and do
and
something.
they started this crap like, let's get ready to ride, or let's ride. I was saying, let's go hide. Let's hide. You know, it's like, Jesus.
Broncos are 2-7
And I used to love to tease every Bronco.
out of their last 9 games.
all the
yeah.
Bronco people, when they just get upset. I'm a Bronco fan forever, no matter what. Well, you go ahead. I'm a bandwagon fan. If they're winning, I'm on.
Yeah, I love too. Well, it's been a slaughter, man. My Dodgers got
Wiped out.
and the Mets got
I
wiped out.
couldn't believe that. Could you? That's like you thought they were going to play some playoff.
Welcome to KUHS Sports Talk 990. Also with live music from the 80s. It's the Rob and Henry Show. Hey, let's play some more music.
Yeah, you bet.
How about Chameleon?
Oh, yeah.
This is from my This Way Up album, my arrangement of Chameleon.
We'll keep
Okie dokie.
down because of
Yeah, man, it's good to see you again, bro. I always love coming by to visit you.
And it's nice, Rob, because, whenever you come to Denver and you do a lot of fun things with us, we get a lot of vibe out of, like you said, the vibe passes on, it goes all over the place.
It does.
And everybody talks, I've never heard of Rob Mullins. Oh, yeah, now I remember.
Right.
And they're putting their oxygen back on.
Well, I was gone a long time, though. I mean, I left 30-something years ago to go to L.A. and play with Hubert Laws and get into the studio. I did the Crusaders. That was a famous funk band from Houston. I did that. I'm still doing the Hubert Laws gig. So when you're gone during the time that people are having their families,
And that's right.
a lot of time goes by and they're like, oh, yeah, well, I remember that. I remember that name, and then you play them the music, and they go, well, of course. When they hear the music, oh yeah, that guy.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Oh yeah, him. So, but it's
Pretty
always
popular in Denver. You gotta admit it. I mean, a
No,
lot of
Denver
people,
is
they love
is
people
still
are-
one of my strongest markets.
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
because a lot of the people that did meet at my gigs went on to get married and have kids.
And that's the thing. You played for a lot of weddings too. They'd ask you to come and do a wedding.
I've done a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just come here and do a little bit of this. And we were talking about this place that closed down.
The Regas?
Le Cour.
Cour. Oh man.
And I was talking to somebody about Le Cour the other day, and
Mhm.
it was really interesting. He said, "What was it? It was a small little place. It was in the house."
Right,
And
on South Broadway.
Yeah, on South Broadway. I said, but it was so intimate.
Yeah.
And if you got to hear Rob Mullins in there, it was cool.
It was
because
fun.
It was. They just didn't. They couldn't keep it going. It was going toward the COVID, wasn't it?
Well, the COVID, Janet actually called in. Janet Poff, who ran it, called into the show here last year. Remember that? And the COVID thing is still being felt, and particularly in the arts community, because if you think about it, people, when times start to get tough, the first thing that gets cut is arts and arts funding, right? And it was always this, like in high school. I went to Lincoln High over on South Federal, and I remember my band director getting up and saying, well, it's the same thing this year as it was last year. The football program gets more money and more time and more gear, and jazz band is not scheduled as a class.
Wow.
It's not even allowed to be on the roster. So what he did is he said he'd teach the class at 6 o'clock in the morning for free if we would just show up and do it.
And everybody did.
And we all did.
That's the thing. It's so much fun.
I mean, yeah, the music thing is really fun, but we're always the ones to have our funding cut first. Music, broadcasters. So don't be shy out there. Go out and make a donation to Dazzle or the Colorado Jazz Educators, or even to my podcast. That's on YouTube's youtube.com/Planet Mullins, where I've done 51 interviews now. I'm in my 4th season. Don't be shy.
afraid,
Even $5 makes a difference.
That's right. And
Does.
it just keeps it going. It's nice. And I was going to ask you, Rob, are you going to be back to Dazzle when they move to their new place?
Yeah, but I don't have a date yet because they don't have an opening date.
Yeah, because
they don't know when they're going to do it.
Because they can't get in and finish up.
Well, it's really hard to move venues. And if
Especially
you've
Denver.
ever done any contracting or building or been involved in real estate,
Inspection.
the red tape part of it is really
It's
insane.
a crock of shit.
The red tape is just nuts. I mean, so but I'll be over there. I'm not sure when, but that's even more reason to come down and see me on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is tomorrow, by the way.
That's right, and it's going to be nice. It starts at 7 o'clock
Right.
at the Dazzle where it's at right now. Get there early. It's general admission seats are only available at this point. The VIPs are all taken. And general admission, generally a lot of people do show up at the door to get in to go see Rob Mullins. And
Well, and you can get a lot of seats close to the band in
Yes.
general.
Yes, right. back
As
behind,
well,
yes.
and it's an all ages show, so if you have a student ID, it's only $10 to come in,
Right,
which is totally great.
which isn't bad.
And that's not bad. I mean, in the 80s, what I would do, and even in the late 70s, was I would just have to sneak into the jazz clubs. But,
Everybody did.
we all kind of did. But see, what was more cool about that era is they go, oh yeah, there's Henry on the fire escape. Yeah, but he loves the music. Just let him in to get a sandwich and listen to Billy Tolles play.
Yeah, that's right.
And now, if you're on a fire escape, then
Everybody shows up and says, jump,
well,
jump.
they have their guns, and then all the people outside are filming.
That's right.
But I wonder what's going to happen up there. Hand me some Cheetos. I'm going to watch the guy die in the fire escape. And it's all been video eyes, like the whole thing of Earth becoming just this
One big capture.
video
right?
capture. Yeah, it's really strange. I have a student that a couple years ago asked me to. The dad said, "Well, we can't bring him down to the piano store. Can you come up to the house?"
Yeah.
Well, maybe just one time. I can do that. And like, okay, give me the address. So, and I'm Santa Monica area. He says it's Pacific Palisades. I said, oh, that's not very far. It's just a little up. Sends me the address, and the first thing I notice is that it's a $10.4 million house.
Jeez.
So they should have been paying
Something.
more for the piano lessons than they were. That's number one. And then number two is I pull up the address on the internet, and it's literally Google had shot a picture of my student shooting basket hoops in the front yard. Like, well, I know that's the house because that's Nick shooting basketball. That's just a little weird.
Yeah,
That's
Google does that. You can see some stuff that, wait a minute.
Yeah, Google Earth.
Now, I was going to tell you this, too. Now that you were mentioning this is interesting. A lot of the newscasters or people who are on television talking about the news, weather, sports, whatever they're doing, they always say this, we captured it on tape. How old is that? They got to be saying it's digitally recorded, digitally captured. Now, they got to change up on that.
Well, tape is just, it's kind of the same thing as they, Taylor Swift just came out with a new album a few days ago. It's called Midnight. And in her promo announcement, she said, I'm really happy about my new record.
I know.
Right? And the Recording Academy, which I'm a part of, in fact, I just voted on the Grammys for this next season. And, but they still call it the Recording Academy, and they still talk about tape and records and albums, my new album, my new single, those kinds of things. And it's just,
and that's what's
that hasn't been updated. You're right. It's like
a lot of it.
It's really old school.
Yeah. Now the other one is, if you ever watch any kind of program, any kind of cop show, fire department show, whatever they're showing.
Oh, that's my favorite.
They always run up to the guy. He's all blown up, half his leg blown off. Are you okay? That's a common line. Now watch, you'll be watching from now on. Are you okay? No, I'm not okay. My leg's blown off.
I like the ones from Magnum PI where Tom Selleck was always taking Higgins' car. And what would happen there is Selleck could go out and he'd wreck Higgins' car, and Higgins would show up and say, is my car okay?
Yeah.
I don't care if you're okay. Magnum. I want to know if my car's okay.
But they always say that. No, watch, you're going to do anything on that somebody gets hurt, bashed, or shot, or whatever, or they're blown up by a bomb that blows up.
Are there any good TV shows now that are better than the 80s shows?
Nothing.
The 70s and the 80s shows were the best stuff, and I have a favorite station in LA, and besides the jazz station, which is actually in Long Beach, but I like listening to KFI AM 640 because everybody that works there, it's like the #1 news talk station in America. And there's a morning news gal there named Jennifer Jones Lee, and she's on with Bill Handel and Wayne Resnick and these other people. And she was just recently moving, and they said, well, Jen, and I think she's in her 40s, how's it going? Did you get moved into your new house? And she said, all I have set up now is a way to watch Andy Griffith's show, I Love Lucy, Father Knows Best, all of these things. And she's like, a hip, cool 40-something person. And they asked her, why are you watching these things? She said it was a much better era. It was a simpler time. The messaging and the points of the stories are all kind of based around a normal moral compass.
Right.
It's like comfort television.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the burritos I eat at Las Delicias. But I have to stop.
They try to mess it up by calling these new kind of things. Did you get you a wrap?
Oh, yeah.
They rename burritos wraps. Come on.
Yeah, they did. Well, you could be Taco Bell where you just only have actually 4 ingredients, but you make like 7,000 things out of it. And then you just add an extra cheese on there and call it something different.
Like what you were doing at Taco Bell the other day. I was with Rob. We're sitting in the car. He's ordering like 6 tacos.
This is BS.
For us.
But go ahead.
And then he says, I'll take the 6 tacos, please, and I'll take that little gordita at the window.
Oh, yeah, they used to have.
Fat chick.
Oh, is that what it means?
Yeah.
See? There you
I'll
get
take
me.
that little gordita at the window. There's really a name of a product that Taco Bell car.
Well, there now you're getting into our word association stuff. So I decided to see if I could He always gets me with a Spanish, and I don't know any Spanish. You know, I only know English and music.
There's Rob. I'll take that little gordita up front.
Well, I guess there isn't a little gordita. There are only the grande gordita.
You wanted a grande gordita.
Grande gordita.
And she walks out.
No, she's supposed to come out through the window.
Híjole.
You know, she gets stuck in there, then Fluffy comes to the rescue. So I thought it'd be fun to just see how Henry's advertising brain and his slogan brain is working today. So I decided I would test him on his ability to take things that have nothing to do with Dazzle, and they have nothing to do with music, just regular stuff out there in the world, and throw out a word at a time and see if he can turn it into a promo. Okay, so we're going to start with China.
China. Remember, you China out with me, brother, and we're going to Dazzle. It's a new place. It's Rob Mullins is going to be there.
That was horrible.
I know it was. I kind of have to give it up, you know.
Okay, so the way that China ties in to jazz is that China is a type of cymbal used by drummers. Jazz drummer. It's called the China type.
Yes.
And you'll see one down there. At Dazzle tomorrow night. Okay, you're 0 for 1. Let's say, okay, how about the Marx Brothers?
You know, the Marx Brothers were a popular brand, but not like Dazzle. Make sure you go to Dazzle. Rob Mullins will be there tomorrow night, 7 p.m.
I'll give you
half
a point.
Consolation prize.
Actually, the Marx Brothers were a crew of brothers that made films, black and white films, and all of them were musicians. And they were most known by Groucho Marx, who was the best comedian of all of them. But if you go onto YouTube and you look up the Marx Brothers, you can see them playing the most amazing jazz and classical piano stuff, just like I'll be doing tomorrow night. See, that's
I got a half. I mean, I got a.
So far, you got a half. Let's see. Okay, this is I don't expect you to get this one at all. Okay, elephants.
There's no elephant in the room. A Dazzle. There'll be plenty of jazz for you with the Rob Mullins band.
You get 2 points for that. That was good.
2 points?
Yeah, no elephant in the room. Now mine's a little more obscure. Elephants are known for their
jazz.
No, the trunk. Right. And any independent musician has jazz CDs in their trunk.
All the time.
All the time. And I'll take them out of my trunk and put them up there for sale at Dazzle tomorrow night. Okay, enough of that stuff.
That's fun, though.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it worked out.
Well, it gets your
So I got
marketing brain thinking.
2.5 points and a consolation prize.
Yeah. Well, I'll get you a beer. I'll get you a beer down there.
Yeah, poor guy.
When you come by. No, it's always nice. I mean, the last time you were there, you shot a couple of videos, which were
yes. Well, I've
nice
done that.
too.
I've done that several times. I'll hook it up because I'm at a perfect spot where it just looks so good, you know. And
I wonder what the new stage is going to be like. I haven't been in to see it.
oh, that's a really nice place.
Have you been in to see it?
Well, no, it's been a facility already.
A facility.
Yeah.
So it was a prison next to DCPA for the jazz police.
So you're going to be captured there.
You'll be captured easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just down the street though.
Yes.
From the current
DCP,
Dazzle.
Denver side of the Performing Arts area.
Okay.
Just right up in there, right on the side.
Nice.
It's gonna be nice. You're gonna
Yeah.
like that one. It's a much nicer place, but it takes a lot of money and a lot of effort, like you said, because of the, you know, when you change things or do something new to a room.
Right.
It's the inspections that hold you up forever, and then
Well, I
you
really-
see something wrong. Oh, there's a little tiny mark there. Another
Right.
30 days.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. And of course, there's never any bribes involved with government agencies and inspectors ever. Never.
Well, there is in New York City. I mean, they come and they get you to the side. That's real. They'll take you to the side if you mess with the New York City ones.
Yeah, they can. I mean, I have just a weird little New York thing, and then we'll get into some more music. So I have a friend, John, who's now passed on, but he was moving from Southern California back to Long Island because his mom had a big house there and she was sick and everything. So John's getting ready to move, and me and my friends were like, John, you don't have any moving boxes. What's the story? You're moving without boxes? And he reaches down and he grabs like these 2 huge containers of those giant double, triple thickness black hefty bags. And he says, these are my moving boxes right here. I'm like, wow, that's
bags.
unique way to do it. He says, well, number one, you put them in the car, everybody thinks it's trash and they ain't gonna steal it. Number two, after it gets to New York, everybody knows there might be an arm or a leg in there. See, John was part of the family.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Right.
real stuff. You know, it's like you see this kind of stuff. That's real stuff in New York City.
So what do you want to play next? How about Ooh La La? Or did
Ooh
we
La
already
La.
play that?
Oops. Ooh La La. Did we play Ooh La La?
I don't know if we did.
Yeah, it's already went past.
Oh, it went past?
Mhm.
Okay.
So we're playing everything on the background, and the background, our voice is over the top of the background.
Oh, I get it. I forgot how that works.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
They're all hearing it. They're hearing the music that's in the
Why
background.
don't we jump into Sail On?
Oh, you want to hear that now?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it before we pop it in there.
Sure, man. That sounds good. So, anyway, my dad and mom were really big parts of the Denver jazz community in the 80s and the 90s, and they came to a lot of my shows. People in my age group or even older, I'm sure a lot of you remember Bob and Ellen Mullins.
Everybody remembers that from the side. I think I met your pops, and
Yeah.
you brought him over. You probably don't remember this, but I was doing my thing back then. I was promoting bands and stuff, and I'd always come and see, and I remember everybody talk about them.
Well, and they
just stood out.
They were kind of like, you know, the jazz couple.
Yeah.
And then they had their little boy. And, you know, my mom was 5'1", and I'm 6'3", and she would look up, this is my little boy. Yeah, right. But, you know, now that both of my parents have passed on, I thought it would be nice to do a song, especially for my dad, since my mom's been gone since 2010. And I wrote a song for her too called Goodbye Son, the True album, if anyone cares to go that deep. But this one was one where before my dad passed, you know, he was 94 years old and he was just struggling, and I think it just was old age. Like people say, well, what's wrong with him? I say, he's 94.
Yeah.
That's what's wrong. I mean,
you're old. Yeah.
You get old. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's something none of us can escape, and you know, it's not anything to make fun of either. But I remember when a lot of little kids.
Yeah, well, they'll say, what's he dying of? Old age?
Yeah, he's just
What's
dying
wrong
of
with you?
being.
Nothing. You're old.
Yeah, he's 94.
Your stuff isn't working, you know?
Yeah, so it was, this past year was pretty rough dealing with that, but before he passed, I wrote this song we're going to play called Sail On, because he loves sailing, and at some point, you know, when you reach near the end of your life, then, you know, it's time to sail on.
And we're going to let it go right into it. We got one more minute, and we'll let it go right into it so we get the full value of it. And I'm going to crank it up in here a little bit. We got to talk here and there because of copyright issues. For some reason, AI, with all the social media sites.
I haven't copywritten this yet.
I know this. Well,
you're lucky on this one tune.
You say that, but I got blipped, and it was a talk show, and they said that they got us for copyright issues for the music. We're a talk show. There was no music nowhere. It was so interesting.
Right.
But we're going to make sure that we just say a few things in between the song, but it's going to be a little louder so you can hear it within the live feed as well as over the air. Over the air, you'll hear it clear and clean as a whistle.
That's totally great. Well, you know, my dad was a newspaper man, and when we first lived in California before I came to Denver, he was one of the hardest working guys because he came from that generation. You know, here you are with 3 kids, and he would work sometimes 4 different jobs in the same week. He worked at the Long Beach Independent Press Telegram, he worked at the LA Times, he worked at the Herald Examiner, and he worked at the Ontario Daily Report. And he was doing that continuously, right, for a long time to pay the bills. Then when we came out here, he got a job with Martin Marietta working on the Apollo missions.
Wow. And there you go, brother. I get a jump on it right now.
Nice.
You'll hear it within the live feed here, so the reason I'm talking just a little bit so we don't get the copyright issue problem.
Well, I'm not going to press charges. I own it, so.
I know, even though
it will all come back to me anyway.
They still come.
Say, no, Henry's okay, man. Let him go on this one time. Just find him for all the BTS stuff. It would be like Alex Jones, 3.2 trillion. Solo.
Well, there's a new individual coming out from Corona, and she's going to meet with the BTS people. And I meant to tell you.
Are you going to set that up for them?
It's already set up.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be big. So there's this whole change for this one individual.
Nice.
Her career is going to go through the roof.
It all starts here at KUHS. KUHS.
It started. I showed it to you.
I know, man.
I
It's
said, whoa.
I couldn't say her name, but
I couldn't. I had it sometime.
we got to work on our Korean. But yeah, so my dad was working on these Apollo missions, and in his house, he has, just all of these amazing Apollo pictures that are signed by those astronauts.
Wow.
So you'd walk into his study, and there would be all this NASA stuff. And back in those days, like when I was a little kid, NASA was a big deal. Now you can go all the way to Jupiter. People are like, oh, I got a text message. Oh, I'm on my Instagram. No, I don't care about Jupiter. But it's the world has changed. And so then after he did that, he worked at both the Rocky Mountain News and the Denver Post before he retired.
And all those things have changed so dramatically. There's no more newspapers. They're online, but nobody wants to pay $5 to just look. You can see all the news everywhere you want.
In March, I was here for a visit because we were moving into San Diego, and we went out to our favorite Italian place, and we're sitting there at Romano's in Littleton, which is great. And he says, well, I was in the newspaper business, and you see how screwed up that ended up. And I was like, yep. And he goes, you're in the music business, and there's nothing left of that. So cheers. Root beer to root beer. But he had some good sayings. He would specifically point out things about perspective and being able to look at a situation really closely and then zooming out to see the whole picture and then not saying anything until you've studied the whole picture of a situation. And of course, it took me 30 years to kind of be able to do that. But it's funny.
Critical thinking is kind of a proper way of doing that. And just what you said there applied to what we were doing here at KUHS during the COVID issues. And we were able to retool, look at the whole setting up close, and pan out to look at the whole picture, just like you said. And then use some critical thinking on how to keep this beautiful media setup that we have here alive. And it went even better for us during the COVID.
It's amazing, man.
It was just because we retooled and went after things that everybody liked.
Well, people that are in media, broadcasting, arts, music, dance, theater, you're always having to come up with a new way to keep it going, reinvent yourself. I was talking with a piano player friend of mine a couple of days ago, a Denver local guy, Ron Jolly. And Ron said, man, I can't believe that you managed to do 40 albums. And so I said, yeah, it took me a lot of years to get it done, but that's always been my thing. And he said, even better is that you've been in control of your own career pretty much the whole time. And we talked about, when I was signed to the big record companies, I was on Warner Brothers a couple of times and some large indies. And now it's something you can do if you're a kid. It was a lot of work when Henry and I were kids to be able to put a music studio together, having all the equipment, making it all work, and getting a good quality anything. Now they actually, can just have AI, kids can have AI do their music for TikTok and stuff.
And it's incredible if you see some of those TikTok videos that they create and all the different variables with utilizing AI. And we started into AI about 4 years ago, trying to discover how it's going to help us, but it was so basic back then.
Right.
Now it's very complicated, and you can utilize it to make responses, to do zooms in here, because we can do zooms like I can press here and it'll do all the zooming for me. And there they all are. It's zooming. It's
right.
Just
well,
let it go.
That's one of those things too, though, that AI is still artificial. So think about that for a minute. It's like if you go on to Facebook, I see these ads all the time now. You're not able to write 2 sentences in correct English? That's okay. We'll do your term paper. We'll write your advertising. We'll do this. We'll get you through college. And now as these surveys come out about academia in the United States, so many young people can't read. And they can't do basic math. And they can't do any normal just stuff that we always thought was normal. Like if I would come home with something below a C on my report card, it was like no lunch for a week. You know, I mean, it was that serious. You got a C, but you're a Mullins. You know,
You're a Mullins.
You're a Mullins. You can't get a C. And you know, it's sad to see what's going on with a lot of it, because this alternate universe of the internet. Sure, it's great for certain things. I mean, we're broadcasting using the internet, and my TV show is on the internet. But there's nothing like getting out of your house and going
somewhere,
gathering
yes.
somewhere to celebrate music and have something to eat and have a glass of wine. And that's why Dazzle is so important in the community.
Very important.
Because it's a spirit of the group put together. I mean, I did something right after 5 Points, I think, at Dazzle, and the place just went completely bananas, and I filmed the standing ovation on my phone.
I think I remember that.
You remember that?
You posted
I
it
posted it up there, and it was just,
it's like,
people are so joyous, and that, you know.
well, it's also your delivery of your music. Rob, you know how to, on your keyboards, you know how to get that sound just perfect where it tickles their ears and lifts their spirits. No, really, it's true. I've listened to you, and I've always watched you, and you get all over those keys, and you just spank those 88s.
Spank it, man. You got to get into the spanking. And that's another thing you're not allowed to do anymore. Right? Is you can't spank your kids.
That's right.
Right?
But you can spank your
spank your piano.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've watched you do that, and that's a really nice piano they have up on stage.
Oh, man, it's great.
It's a Baldwin?
I think it's a Baldwin 9-foot, yeah.
A 9-footer. The 9-footers are which really resonate off that sounding board off the bottom side. Get you your high octave, your low octaves, and then you just spank it. And you can hear Rob up there just, has he got 4 arms and legs and hands up there, whatever?
Oh, you saw that picture?
Yeah. Somebody.
The guy that drew the picture of me with the 4 hands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, that is so cool.
That was really cool.
But that's like real. It's like they hear you. And
I don't have.
You doing that with just your. Like,
I don't play piano like a pianist. I've heard that, and in my younger years, what a lot of people don't know is that I was a drummer that got hit by a car. So my mom was a piano player in the Baptist church, and she was always getting punished in the church for like jazzing up the hymnal.
Oh, yeah.
So they would call her back into the, Ellen, we've got to talk to you about the swing. This isn't the swing era. You know, you got to play these things straight. But she really helped me a lot with that, and then I became a pianist after the car accident, and I play piano like a drummer or a guitar player.
And I've watched this with the beats. That's why I say you're spanking it.
Yeah, it's really about the rhythm. I think but piano is a very rhythmic instrument.
Knowing the drumming part of being a drummer and playing piano gives you that beat, that feeling, you know, because you can get right in there and hit every octave, hit your high notes, your low notes, your blacks and whites, and play around with it. And I could see when you could see it, you're just like really into it.
I dig it, man. I don't think I'll ever stop loving being a musician. I was talking with a local drummer here that used to play with me in L.A., Lamont Peoples, on the phone a couple of days ago because he's been living here in Denver. And I call him anytime I come into town. And I said, Lamont, how's it going? He says, hey, Robski, what's happening, man? And I said, you still got your little studio out there? He said, yep. I said, what are you planning on doing? He says, I'm going to just play drums till I drop. I was like, what? He says, drums till I die, man. That's all I want to do. And he's a really good drummer. He's in a certain style, like a funk kind of thing, but it's just about the feel.
Yes.
And you can hear him on my Joyful Noise record.
Yeah, and also on this show, you've got a really quality drummer.
Yeah.
And he was in here singing with you that one day. That was really cool.
Yeah, Liam.
Liam is, you guys, you may want to say it again because there's some people that may be watching that don't remember how you guys met.
Right, yeah. Well, we met at a jam session at Dazzle. And you know, I was in town and went down to this thing, and we were sitting at the bar next to each other, and we just, you know, they put you on a sign-up sheet, and I always love those sheets, you know, because 15 unknown people, and then I'm on there, and the leader looks and he says, "Oh no, Mullins is going to come kick everybody's butt." But anyway, we were just chatting, having a drink, and neither one of us knew that the other guy was a musician, and we hadn't, really had any full disclosure. But both of our names got called at the same time to go on stage and play as total strangers, and man, we just clicked from the first downbeat.
Yeah.
It was just like bam.
Yeah.
The groove was right there. I was like, man, I'm going to get this guy in my band.
And he was more than happy to, because he was watching you play. Probably he's like, Jesus.
Well, it's just my buddy Stan that plays in War. He's a harmonica player.
Oh yeah.
And we've done a lot of stuff, and he always, comes down to, he always breaks it down to really simple terms, because he's from the Bronx. Yeah, you want to have a good band, hire the right guy.
And the thing
that's
about
the
it
whole
is,
thing.
don't park your car up front in my way, okay? Just keep it cool.
Neither one of us can do it.
I know, we're trying.
We're awful.
We're trying.
I'd be better with, drunk Japanese man. I can do that really well. I can't do the New York thing.
Drunk Japanese man.
I actually had a patch on one of my Roland 80s keyboards that was called Drunk Japanese Man. And it sounded just like that. And don't sue me, Roland, for that. But yeah, if you have the right people around you, especially in a band, because it's emotional and it's technical, and a lot of times it can involve travel.
Yeah, that's right.
And when you're traveling with people that you don't get along with off the bandstand, then that's
hell.
really uncomfortable.
Yes, it's hell.
It can be really bad. One of the guys that I had recently on my show is the bass player with the longest running jazz bass gig in the history of the world, and that's Vale Johnson from Kenny G's band. So Vale started out in 1986 as Kenny G's bass player, and in 2022 he's still Kenny G's bass player.
Whoa.
Now what is that, 40 years? 45
He
years?
melted into he became part of the fixtures.
Yeah, I mean, he's been there, and when I had Vale on my podcast, I asked him about that. I said, well, does Kenny, come up to you and say, hey, no, play it more like this, or play it more like that, or whatever? And Vale says, Kenny always, I asked him, do I need to do something else? He said, the reason I hired you is because you're you.
Yeah.
Because you already do, naturally,
you?
all the stuff that I want to hear, and then we don't have to talk about it.
Yeah, you'll get the job done.
And it's just a natural thing.
Yes.
But what's the longest airline flight you ever took?
Out of Chicago.
You went from here to Chicago?
Mm-hmm. And back.
That was it?
That was it.
Yeah. You never even went to Mexico?
No, I've never been to Mexico.
Well, how about Canada?
Yes.
Okay, which part?
Up in Manitoba.
Where is that? Is that on the east side?
Yeah, wait a minute. You made me.
You didn't hear that word.
I've been up and down the coast in San Jose, San Francisco, LA, Corona, Riverside, everywhere up and down the coast, Mexico, all over.
Yeah, because that's one of the things about Hubert Law's band is that we go far. We go really far. Like we
10 to 12 hour.
36.
36
Yeah,
hours.
we went to Bangalore, India, and it was 36. But it was because, you got to fly from
Now, I
here.
don't know if you could tell me about India, because I know how to do that voice too.
Oh, man, you're going to get so much heck for that.
I know, I didn't do that.
And
You're the one who gets me talking like
the
this,
new
Rob.
Prime Minister of England is an Indian guy.
Oh, really?
That happened this morning.
Because that lady they threw out?
They threw the lady out,
She got in there for a week and
I don't think they threw her out because she was a lady. I think they just threw her out because she didn't do a good job.
She didn't do nothing.
Right?
Just jumped in there and hung
She
around.
jumped in and then made everybody go bankrupt or something.
Yes.
I mean, these financial problems.
I think this is just a big game. These banks and everybody, it's just this big game. And then they do the war thing. Have you ever heard of the butterfly effect? When something happens in
Does that happen down at PT Show Club?
No,
The butterfly effect?
No, it's when something happens on the other side of the world where there's death, destruction, mayhem, all this crap.
Right.
That little thing affects everything all over the world.
It's just like the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of why this whole nuclear thing has got me really upset, because people are like, well, if they do the nuclear war, Russia into Ukraine, then that's fine, just don't do it here. But what they don't realize
It'll go all
is
over.
that it goes into the air.
Mhm.
And the air circulates completely around the earth, just like it does in your little logo sign there.
And the thing about it is I was trying to create this new fragrance. I did it in the car, and nobody seemed to like it.
Was that after Taco Bell?
Yes.
Yeah, see.
You understand? Nobody liked that.
Well,
the fragrance was.
It might be a new fragrance, but it actually smells really old. It was the same.
Before I even did the fragrance, it
If it's
smelled
the
old
same
in
one
there.
that I've been working on my late night Taco Bell runs. But yeah,
Are we still going to do the show? You want to do the show late night with?
Late night with Heffy.
Yeah.
Heffy After Dark. That's what we call it.
Heffy After Dark.
Yeah, there used to be a show Hugh Hefner had called Playboy After Dark.
Playboy After Dark. We're going to do Heffy After Dark.
Heffy After Dark. Hi, Melissa, if you're listening.
Yes, she is.
I miss you on your Friday Ignite with Melissa, and it's always and you're invited tomorrow if you want to come. You can tear yourself away from all your single male fans that are like young bodybuilders with the right tats that love the Lord.
You're gonna get it for that one.
I'm gonna get it. Yeah.
They love the Lord.
They do. She has this little crew of all these what do you call them? You call them orbiters, because they're just like all these dudes just kind of orbiting, They're always trying to find her location out and stuff. Hey, do you remember there was a guy, this kid figured out where Elon Musk's plane went? Do you remember that was in the news? That was one of those computer things where somehow this guy he was like a high school kid, and he got a tracker onto Elon Musk's plane.
Ooh. And
so he had a Instagram, and he would just post anywhere that Elon Musk was going to land.
Wow.
Elon Musk now landing in Tunisia in 5 minutes. And then, what? And Musk finally got the kid to leave him alone. I don't know how big a bribe he had to give him, but he got the kid to leave him alone.
Wow.
And then there was another guy who was also a billionaire that the kids, after Elon, and the kids started going after this other billionaire. But that billionaire got so mad, he just sold his plane.
Oh my gosh, so you couldn't find that plane anymore.
And then now he just rents a plane.
That's the way to do it. I always thought that's the basic.
We need to get on the KUHS plane and take your butt out of here.
And never
get. No, we can come back, but let's go somewhere fun. Let's go to England and have Indian food. It's actually
You
really
think I
good
would
there.
catch hell for doing the voice?
We'll
I
find
have a
out.
friend named Gopal. He's from
Okay.
India, and he always comes around. He always talks to me like this, Henry, 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 Henry. No, Henry. I like her big eyes.
Her big eyes, her papadums. Yeah, well, I've always loved Indian food, and that's a secret that a lot of people from here don't know, is that London has incredible Indian food, and
Do they
they've had
really?
it for many, many decades.
I didn't know that.
It's really good. I mean, if you eat it in India like we did with Hubert Laws, that's obviously going to be
And that was
better.
an awesome tour. Did you do a tour or just the one show?
No, we just played in Bangalore, but that was that flight that ended up being almost 36 hours. Because you got to go from here to the next place, and then the next place, and then you're in Hong Kong, but you can't get out of the Hong Kong airport for 6 hours because there's protesters or something. And then you go from Hong Kong to India, and then you get to India, and it's a 3-hour drive
Wow.
to where the place is. And some of those back roads in India, man, they're really scary.
Scary, yes.
Yeah, I mean, you would just see things that were kind of like Halloween oriented, and then once we got to the place that we were at, it was a whole different story. It's nothing like what you hear about in India. It was a private town with its own police and all that kind of stuff, so it's really fun.
Crazy stuff.
Oh, when love gets deeper.
We're going to do that.
Are you going to do that? I love that.
We're going to
tune.
start out the Smoothie Jazz Show coming up here at 4 o'clock, 4 to 6 p.m. I only do 1 hour on the Smoothie Jazz Show, and then we hook it over 1 hour nonstop solid from 5 to 6, so you want to make sure. Stay tuned to that, and we're going to say goodbye to Rob Mullins now, man. This has been so much fun to have you back. The time flies like that.
It
We're
does.
talking to such an intelligent, wide range of knowledgeable type of subjects.
I thought you were just going to say knowledge bull. I thought you were going to say bull.
I had to keep it X-rated.
Well, it's Dazzle tomorrow night, everybody, at 7 o'clock. It's one show, and The show's going to go from 7 to 8:15, and then at 8:15, I want to just come hang out with all you guys and go table to table. I'll have a guest book if you want to write anything nice to my dad, or to my mom, or to me. I'll have a guest book there, and let's get together. Anybody from the 80s that wants to come from the Regas, like I said, come on down. It's better. It'll be way better than your high school reunion. And if you want to come from the earlier incarnation of Dazzle that was at 9th and Lincoln, we'd love to see you there too, to remember my mom and dad. So we're doing it more like a New Orleans style celebration, you know, because in New Orleans they play upbeat music when somebody passes on, and that's what we're going to do.
And bring your others, brothers, lovers, mothers, sons, former roommate, and everybody else to Dazzle tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Get there early, get your seats, get to enjoy.
Yeah, doors are open at 6, and I know that we have tickets.
Yes.
All right.
See y'all later.